أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for joining. We are discussing the 20th word. We were supposed to be discussing the second station today, but I feel like from last time's discussion, there are two interesting points to share with you today and think about out loud. So we're going to be revisiting a part of the reading and then asking two questions. I won't tell you about them now. So let me start. The reading is saying, "For behold, there are rocks from which streams gush forth." If you remember, we've been talking about rocks and why does the Quran talk about it and what's our understanding of it and how is it related to our hearts. So the reading says, "Through recalling with these part rivers like the blessed Nile and the Tigris and Euphrates, which gush up out of mountains, the Quran makes understood the miraculous fashion rocks, receive the creational commands, and are subjugated to them." It infers the following meaning to vigilant hearts. It is certainly not possible that the mountains could be the actual source of such mighty rivers. This is the first question I have. What does that really mean? It is certainly not possible that the mountains could be the actual source of such mighty rivers. Well, then, what is the source? Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Brother Ash.
Do you have any answers? In your mind, it could mean this or not.
I've learned a new answer, but not from I've learned a new answer, but it's not mine.
First of all, can you make the writings on the screen bigger? I think make it 150 or 125. Yeah, I think it is fine now for everyone to follow. And but can you share what we have got so far? You said you learned from someone else. It doesn't matter. It is yours now. Would you mind sharing it?
Yes. Okay. Now, okay, I've learned two parts. The first part is that causes have no effect. And my understanding of that is that we have two choices. Either we say causes have an effect, which is that's one choice, or we can say that there are a chain of causes and there is one causer. So we can't really say that mountains are causing the water to flow, or that the water is flowing by itself. What another way to look at it is to see that water is subjugated to an order, and the mountains as well. So they're both under a conscious will. That's the first part of it. So far, so good.
Yes, I think in a summary, I agree.
Okay. Okay, good. And then the other thing is, when water is mentioned in the Quran and in the Hadith, I think it was a Hadith. I'm not sure if it's a Hadith or a verse, so forgive me for that. But I remember it was saying something that water are drops of mercy, meaning that the divine quality that's actually moving the water, or that is manifested in the creation of water, is mercy. So we can say it's out of conscious mercy that the water is moving, is operating. Yeah, that's all. Sorry. Yeah, so that the rivers are not as someone who's trying to understand, okay, well, what is the source, or how is this happening? We're trying to find the source of this. We understand that, okay, it has to be a conscious will, and then the divine quality that we can associate to this is mercy. That's all I have. I feel it's not enough. Can someone add this or elaborate more?
Excellent point. Actually, if we see the arrangement, the way the water is coming transferred, or the water is subject to evaporation, and this evaporation is preparing that this steam will go up, and then form in clouds forms, and then wind will be created and carry them wherever it is meant or intended to drop down. So the weather conditions are arranged perfectly, and rain comes down, and snow also comes down on earth. And this arrangement is nothing but the manifestation of a merciful activity. This merciful activity needs a conscious choice, perfectly arranged for a particular targeted purpose. When we see that, if we say these things are happening by itself, this perfect arrangement, merciful arrangement, hitting the purpose really wisely, you cannot attribute this wise, merciful, perfect arrangement to senseless matter, accidentally developed in this way. I mean, if someone wants to prescribe to this idea, okay. I mean, human beings can be crazy. They are free to do that. But for a normal human, especially the word is vigilant hearts. Vigilant hearts, I understand, tries to understand the reality behind what is going on in this materials, seemingly material world, but it is attributed to hadith, but I don't know the source. The drops of rain describe it as mercy. They can see that a merciful, that as you said, this can be only a merciful, consciously chosen creator's act. Matter can have no say about it because it has not at all any sense. It is matter. And it has no free will. That is very important. Matter has no free will. Matter is subject to certain rules of creation, cannot go out of it, cannot choose anything. But human free will allows anyone who wants to deviate the reality and make up a story, excuse, they can do that. They are free, but vigilant heart, it doesn't mean that somebody believes in God. No, tries to understand what is meaning behind these activities, not really taking it simply on the surface as it appears. Water is dropping because there is gravity. But gravity, water, balance, steam going out, water coming down, clouds are not falling down, transferred easily by winds. Winds to create winds, in order to create winds, perfect arrangements are already designed there or intended to be there. Somewhere is cold, somewhere is warm, and the weather, cold weather is in the bottom, warm weather on the side, and exchange to keep the balance always. By themselves, unconscious beings, vigilant hearts understand this. Open-mindedness, I say this. Not conditioning yourself with anything. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. This is clear for me, but if it's not clear for anyone or someone wants clarification, please ask questions. All right, I'll continue reading. For let us suppose the water was cut completely and the mountains each became a conical reservoir, they would only persist a few months before losing the balance to the swift and abundant flow of those large rivers. And the rain, which penetrates only about a meter into the earth, would not be sufficient income for that high expenditure. This means that this means that the springs of these rivers are not something ordinary and natural arising from chance, but that the all-glorious Creator makes them flow forth from an unseen treasury in truly marvelous fashion. Thus, alluding to this mystery and stating this meaning, it is narrated in a hadith. Each of those three rivers is a drop from paradise, which continuously issues forth from paradise, as a result of which they are sources of abundance. And in another, it is said, the sources of these three rivers is from paradise. The truth of these narrations is this: since physical causes are not capable of producing their abundant flow, their sources must be in an unseen world and must arise from a treasury of mercy. The equilibrium between their incomings and outgoings is maintained in this way. Anything here? Okay.
I would say paradise represents infinite manifestations of infinite mercy of God, absolute mercy of God.
Okay.
While we are talking about any creation here in this world, so we have to see the meaning of paradise here. Paradise represents this absolute mercy, manifestation of absolute mercy. So it is another way of this sentence, phrase attributed to a hadith. The source of these three rivers is from an infinite mercy, if it is clear.
Yes, very clear to me. Thank you. Thus, through inferring this meaning, the all-wise Quran, gives the following instruction: O children of Israel and sons of Adam, with your hardness of heart, unfeelingness, and heedlessness, you disobey and close your eyes to the commands and light of knowledge of the pre-eternal Son, one so glorious that he makes flow forth from the mouths of common, lifeless rocks, mighty rivers like the blessed Nile, which transforms Egypt into a paradise and produces witnesses to his unity for the universe's heart and earth's mind, as eloquent as the force, appearance, and abundant flow of those mighty rivers, and makes them flow to the hearts and minds of jinn and men.
Can you go up? So I liked one phrase here. Okay, since you are now in Egypt, I'm disclosing your secret, so sorry for that.
It's okay.
Let's say the blessed Nile, which transforms Egypt into a paradise. You may say, well, Egypt administration and the society doesn't look like a paradise. But of course, the author meant paradise means Jannah, means literal means garden. So garden where everybody, every human being likes garden. So that is why Quran uses the language that that is familiar with human beings in order to describe the permanent creation, which is in the next creation. Everything will be permanent, and I will tell you how it will look like for you now that you can understand. It is like a garden. You really love it. Now, of course, we, as a person who is living there, paradise, if there was no Nile, I guess that especially the southern part of Egypt will be nothing but just desert. So, but now it is full of gardens. Why gardens? The word gardens is used to represent paradise. I think it is very wise. I'm just sharing my understanding. You will see if it is correct or not, and correct me if I am wrong. The paradise or the garden, we look at the source of it, material source of it, I mean, as it appears to be soil, water, light, sunlight, air, all of them are lifeless. Matter, ultimately, they are particles made up of particles. And out of these lifeless, consciousless, senseless elements, we see that plants are created. Animals are feeding on them. Human beings are really enjoying the beauty, and they are functioning unimaginable duties and serving the earth in such a way that the human beings can happily live in them and enjoy the manifestations of the qualities of their creator. So we have no excuse to attribute these beautiful, very wisely created, meaningfully arranged plants out of dead elements. So we have no excuse not to disqualify these dead elements, matter, and understand something is going on here. So if we have this perspective of view in analyzing, while we are analyzing the existence of the plants and living beings on earth, we can easily see that this is an operation realized or creation realized by an absolutely powerful and merciful agent who is arranging everything accordingly in order to demonstrate his infinite mercy to the minds of human beings, to the hearts of human beings. That is why Egypt, transforming Egypt into a paradise through this water. Of course, if the result is nothing but mercy, beautiful, meaningful, enjoyable mercy, so the source of it must be also a conscious, beauty, merciful one, and the wise one. So we understand from the source to the result that nothing happening in this world but the manifestation of the acts of this absolute being who must be the owner of this universe, sustainer of this universe, creator of this universe. We should look at the creation side of it, not political administration, social corruption among society. No, not that side. So anywhere we can see the gardens are created, plants are created, we can see the sign of paradise there, because we are seeing the sign of the absolute mercy's creation, acts of creation, in a better way than just looking at the matter and understanding that they must be created by the creator of the universe. Living beings are the best examples. Thank you. Yeah, the Quran also describes paradise in terms of running rivers and green, dense green gardens, and human beings are enjoying there, entertaining there, whatever they want, especially with special drinks. So the human beings love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When I read the sentence, I laughed because of exactly what you were saying. I am in Egypt and I couldn't see that, but now I get it. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Anne.
Yeah, I have a question. about the flows of the river. I think it's referring to the Tigris and Euphrates. At least those are two of the rivers. Not sure what the third river is, but I have a question about, so we're always talking in this class about applying the reading to the readings of the Quran to our everyday life. So my question is, I'm reading about what's happening to those two rivers right now and the depletion of the water, and when it gets to the in Iraq and Iran, when it gets down to the marsh, that water is disappearing and the people are running out of water. So at some point the flow becomes interrupted through man's own actions. It doesn't stay, the equilibrium gets interrupted. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm just wondering, like, when I read about how it's supposed to be and what it really is, I find a disconnect, and I don't know how to rectify that. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but I'm talking about the current state of these particular rivers, and the decline of their water and the disequilibrium. Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll just jump into sharing my understandings related to Anne's questions. Very good questions. Of course, the first one is simple, but practically we should know that Quran speaks to human beings within their capacity. So that time when Quran was first revealed, people didn't know much about American Amazons, Mississippi. They didn't know that, and other great rivers in the world. So these three rivers, Nile, Tigris, and the other one was Euphrates, I think. They were known to the people of the area, but we can now really add to it Amazon or Mississippi. That is no harm. That would cause no harm. So we should understand this is the principles of the teaching to the people according to their capacity or within their capacity. Second question is, of course, much more deeper, and everybody questions that, and I would also ask the same question. If they are coming from paradise, they should have no end. Yes. For example, if everything is created by an absolutely merciful one, there should be no end to it. But this is a limited word, and this is a word of training for human beings. And another side of the teachings of the Quran says, if you think, I will increase it. Yeah, لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَيَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. The same verse infers, if you are ungrateful, I will decrease it, to show you, as a result of my mercy, what you are doing or what you have been doing was wrong. Stop it. And you are harming yourself. That is the oft repeated verse in the Quran. God doesn't harm you. You cannot harm God either, but you can only harm yourself. This is the option, human option. I keep repeating this principle of reasoning, especially while we are trying to understand the message of the Quran. If we if we try to understand within the practical of practical life of human beings, our practical life, we should never, ever forget human free will that may choose opposite of what meant to be in creation. I can do that. God's mercy does not let me alone and go without being warned. Can you imagine? Now there is a tsunami coming on the east coast of America. And, oh, it is a bad news, isn't it? So bad news should not be distributed. Only good news should be distributed. So let's not mention this. What will happen after tsunami comes? Everybody furiously criticize the administration. Why you didn't inform us beforehand, before this calamity happened, since you know it, since you knew it. Everybody, and I think in this case, the administration or the government should resign, saying that I failed my duty. Now, God is warning us before the tsunami comes and hits me when I die. Look, what you are doing is wrong. And the people get disturbed that the Quran is full of threat of hell. Of course, I should know beforehand the tsunami is coming. If God, as he is supposed to know, knew it, what will happen to me after I die, or while even I am living, if he doesn't let me know, then he wouldn't be a good God. He would be a stupid God. Well, he doesn't know what he's doing. He created me with the need to be informed beforehand what the result of my choices will be, and he is not my teacher. So this is the most misunderstood side of the Quran. Everybody says Quran is full of threat, a little bit sometimes mentions about paradise, but only paradise for the believers. It is own followers, not for us. So it is an harsh God in the eyes of billions of people. This is a very unjustly distributed idea and doesn't have any base at all. So we have to be careful that we need warnings about our future rather than just really entertaining us. You are fine, sit in your house, tsunami hits, and you will be destroyed together with your house. And then say, oh, why not? Why I wasn't warned? Now, Quran says, again, in other news, the first news was, if you are grateful, you will be given more. So the meaning, if you are not, the meaning, flip side of the meaning, if you are ungrateful, it will be taken away from you. Now, we started changing under the pretext of modifications, changing the way originally meant to be if human beings did not interfere into the way everything is created perfectly adjusted. Now, rainforests are knocked down. For what? Cheap wood. Why? We are going to use it and make money by producing unnecessary things and trying to sell them to people by really, quote unquote, creating not exactly needed productions that human beings should be using. Our cupboards are full of clothes that there is no room to put for the next ones, so that we have to get rid of the ones which outdated, outmoded, out of fashion, so that we just throw them into the trash, although they are perfectly usable. So this mass production and greed of making more money, we have chosen to change the normal, or as God willed, balance of the universe, balance of the earth. Actually, we cannot. We corrupted the oceans, we polluted the oceans and the air, but atmosphere, inshallah, the human beings don't go so far that it wouldn't really disturb the other planets. Inshallah, we don't know. This greed, the caprice, has no end. So Allah says, because of the human hands, whatever the human hands are making, the corruption is taking place in the earth and in the sea 400 years ago. Corruption in the sea. That time, there was no sign of corruption in the sea at all. This is a new thing. After this industrial revolution in Europe took place, these rivers in Europe, and after this atomic bomb to kill people is invented, discovered, then oceans are corrupted, and other productions causes the atmosphere has hole. So the global warming, whether they are argued, but I don't care, that something is going on wrong, and God's mercy should let us know beforehand, not before we die, what will happen to us after we die. No, what will happen to humankind after generation after generation. So we are really digging our own grave for our next generations, as God perfectly creates everything. But because of what we are doing, these corruptions are happening. It doesn't mean that these rivers are not created by a merciful one. The ocean is not created by a merciful. Oceans are not created by a merciful one. Their original creation is coming from the merciful one, but their present situation is the result of what human hands have been doing. So rainforests, forests are destroyed, and also you see that, for example, let's take Euphrates and tiger, I think. How is it? Tigris? Tigris. I don't know how it is pronounced. And starting from Anatolia, eastern part of Kurdistan, part of Turkey, and they have bans there. Stop. Why? They are going to use more water. For what? More production. For what? Make it tasteless, smellless, without any good smell, fruits and vegetables, and sell abundantly and send it to America, and then they will fill the garbage bins. Plenty, cheap. So I don't like to throw it. Excuse me just a minute. My daughter accompanied as a translator to a Muslim family. And this Muslim family lives in America, and it happened that man was from Palestine, wife was from America. And my daughter was a child, young child, being able to speak English. So we said, okay, our daughter may stay with you while you are in Turkey, so she can help you by translation. And now, quite a number of people speak English, but then, 20, 25 years ago, it wasn't very common. Anyways, this is what the background is. So wife went together with my daughter and bought 3 kinds of sauces. How do you say sauce? Or meat in the processed meat in intestines. I don't know the names. Somebody may help me. Sucuk. How do you call it?
Sausage? No.
No, sucuk is translated into English as sausage, even though it sausage connotes pork-based products. Sucuk is definitely translated as sausage.
Okay. Now, the sausage, yeah. Thank you very much. So, and it was nothing unusual, but it seemed as if to my daughter, it is the taste of the lady. She likes sausage, so she bought 3 kinds. And they came together to the house they were renting, also temporarily, I know, this condition. So she started cooking sausage, doing something, maybe frying, I don't know, but before doing that, she cut a piece from 1 kind of sausage out of 3 and tasted it and threw it into the trash can. The other one tasted it and put it aside, maybe better. And the third one tasted it, threw it into the trash can. And the second one, according to her taste, this sausage was better. Oh, she didn't buy so that she likes sausage. No, she wants the best one. The others are trash can. They are expensive, and the meat is very expensive in Turkey. More expensive than Turkey, America, by the way. It is interesting. Anyways, mass production here makes it cheap but tasteless. Whatever. So what we understand from here, at the end, these animals will be fed in an artificial way, and we will lose all the taste, the beautiful taste Allah created, as God created. So we should bear in mind that, yes, we can exploit the creation as a result of our greed, but this will be at the expense of losing what merciful God created. Here it is going on in Tigris and Euphrates. The same thing. not because they are not coming from paradise. Even I would say, there is only one drop of water created. I would say it is coming from paradise. As Radva explained it earlier, the source of existence of drop of water says, my mercy is infinite. Paradise represents infinite mercy. I think somehow it makes sense to you, to everyone here. If it doesn't, please raise your voice, speak up. I would like to see, of course, if I am wrong or right, or we are here to learn all together. Thank you.
Oh, that's so very helpful. It really, it's, your explanation is extremely helpful. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I was wondering from last session, what does the word jinn mean? My understanding, as we can see, it's mentioned here in the last sentence, and it's combined with men, like the hearts and minds of jinn and men. So I was asking myself, what's my understanding of jinn, and is this the only understanding that is there? My understanding was pretty naive and not a studied understanding, but normally that it's a feature that's scary and something we shouldn't really mention or talk about, and something that I need to protect myself from, but I don't understand it yet. And given that, like, my understanding of creation can really affect how I see myself and how I understand my creator, I'm gonna try to share a new understanding, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so there is a verse that this understanding is divided into 2 points. So the first point is, there is a verse in Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, that mentions jinn the following way. It said, and mention when we said to the angels, prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated, except for Iblis. He was of the jinn and departed from the command of his Lord. Okay. So we can see that it talks about Iblis as being of the jinn, disobeying the command of his Lord, as opposed to angels who obeyed the command of God. So now if we think about it, when there is an order, there are 2 options, obeying or disobeying. When I obey, I'm following the order. When I'm disobeying, I'm not following the order. Now, if I'm not following the order, it doesn't mean that I'm creating a new order, or I'm following a different order, or that I'm operating under a different ruler. I'm still within the order. I'm just disobeying in relation to the order. Like a simple analogy I thought of could be that, okay, if my dad says the curfew at home is 10 p.m., you can't come late, and I choose not to follow it, that does not change the curfew or the rule. What changes is my relationship to the rule, or what another thing that changes is what changes is my relationship to the rule, and my relationship to the one who decided the rule. Okay, why am I saying all of this? The new understanding is jinn is the representation of the attitude I can adopt when I disobey or not follow the order. So it's not this, distant, scary creature out there that I don't want to talk to or not communicate to. Instead, it's actually representing the attitude that I can have when I choose not to obey the order. Any questions here? Or further explanation? Because this is very interesting. Okay. Point number 2.
Wait, could I?
What?
I just want to say, I never actually quite understood that phrase or that use of the term jinn myself. It's often used with jinn and men. And I thought it was some ungainly type of creature, but your explanation is really helpful. I like it a lot. Thank you. Thank you for providing it today. Thanks so much.
So can I share the screen, Radwa, for a temporary period?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, Anne, for your comment. Do I have to? Okay, I'll stop share.
Yes.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
I've got it. Now, just to make it fast, because we don't have much time, let's go over these classifications from here. Human free will. Now, it's a very, very dense summary, very brief. Human free will is equal to following conscience or egoistic tendency. We are experiencing this, right? Or, if you like, counterpart of existence, when the section Rahman of the Quran, 55th section of the Rahman, combines human beings and jinn together, saying that whether you have body or not, any being, any creature who has free will must watch out. How you should be very sensitive about how to use your free will. So Quran describes jinn also has free will. There's following consciousness or egoistic tendency equals. So that is why Quran is arranged, Mus'haf is arranged in such a way that seek refuge from min al-jinnati wan-nas, the same, but maybe in the form of a bodily attack or intellectual attack coming from any creature. So intellectual attack is represented by jinn. Bodily attack is represented by human beings, but human beings in the eye of me, the body, he can kill my body. He cannot kill my idea, but they can present their idea. That is why Iblis is going to be presented in the Quran as Satan, satanic ideas. So Quran is warning us, you may be subject to bodily harm or intellectual harm. Both of them have their own sources in my creation. So jinn also is created to represent this in order to teach you that I don't have to create the things in bodily form only. I can create the things in non-bodily form as well. You know that your spirit, your feelings have no body, but you are absolutely sure they exist. So the existence of our sights, the counterpart of the existence of our sight requires it. If you really study the Quran carefully, we understand that the Quran is repeating, we have created everything in pairs. So this side, many, many aspects of the creation are taking place within two aspects, two pairs. So the Quran represents that the universe is created in such a way that nobody can say that it happened by itself, because everything existed with its own counterpart. It means positive side of gravity, negative side of, again, magnet, and everything. It is just simple. One of them is pulls, the other one is repels. So the balance is perfectly arranged. If it developed by chance, one side will be overwhelming the other side. No balance, conscious balance. This is the reality in human existence. We have our counterbalance in the form of jinn. The Quran says, yes, there are these creatures. They also have free will. They can choose. They're following their conscience or egoistic tendency. So believing jinns will offer us to follow our conscience. Believing human beings, again, will offer us to follow our conscience. So we have to watch out how the feelings are coming to our minds, or the ideas options coming to my mind. As long as we don't follow the right or the wrong offers from them, they cannot have any power on us, independent power. That is why in culture, jinns, in general culture, people think that they have their independent interference into our life. It is impossible. It is us to choose. We have free will too. So if we follow the right options, these right options are presented to us through righteous jinns. And if you follow wrong option, we are receiving the disbelieving jinns offers. So we have to be careful that something comes to my mind. Of course, everything is created by God, but in this world, everything is created within an order which works so-called in a perfect order. They call, the materials people call it cause and effect, but this is a perfect order, happened to be created in a balance out of two opposite options. So the balance is coming out of two opposite options. This need is definitely a conscious creator. Anyways, now let's go to the following one. No? What is that? What is that? All right. This one. Now, Iblis used to be a jinn. The Quran says, as Radwar narrated, 18th section of the Quran, verse 50, I think. Excuse me. Now, Iblis used to be a jinn. Jinn is equal to invisible body plus soul. The only difference between humans and jinn is that the jinn has no material body as we see it. No material body as we see it, but it has its own body, created being. Jinn soul, conscience, jinn soul equals to conscious and free will. Conscience and free will. And jinn free will equals to following conscience or egoistic tendencies. Look, it is the, what happened? Human free will following conscience or egoistic tendencies, jinn free will following conscience or egoistic tendencies. Believing jinns will offer us to follow our conscience. Believing humans will offer us to follow our conscience again. So we have to understand that there is a parallel between two of them. As long as we don't follow the right or the wrong offers from them, from humans or from jinns, they cannot have any power on us. It is us to choose. We have to feel free. We have free will too. No, is it the same? So I think I did something wrong here. Okay. Okay. Sorry. This is what primitive preparation for my understanding of jinn, and I did share what I want to say about this jinn matter. Ultimately, jinn does not have any independent effect on anyone. But the ideas come to our mind has two options, and God is mentioning about jinn and reminding me to take refuge with God from jinn. It means take refuge with belief in God's absolute power. Take refuge with there is something is coming dangerous. No, he is absolutely powerful. So no one else can have any independent effect on me. So if something happens to me, it is because of my choice. But if something happens to me, not because of my choice, it is a wise and merciful reminder of God about my reality of existence. So that is what I understood from jinn. Thank you. You can share your screen.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions here or reflections? Well, okay, I think pretty much I shared my understanding or my new understanding, and Brother Ali did as well. So if any questions come up for you, we can always discuss them next week as well. So we can stop here and then start from the second station next week. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
السلام
Jazana.
عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.